okay. Let me just go over here and... Oh, okay. Okay, I'll just stay here then. Sorry about that. I just didn't want to, get in your way. Yeah. I can sometimes get a little paranoid and, feel like I, maybe in someone's way. But, since you said I could stay here and just sit here, thank you so much for that. That kind of gives me some reassurance. Oh, well, I'm always like that. I've been like this ever since I was a kid. Always nervous and, just want to make sure I'm doing the right thing. Don't want to, make anybody upset, right? Oh, well, I'm just here alone. I really don't actually have that many friends. Actually, I don't have any friends. Yeah, well, I'm just, super shy. you know, I've always been timid when it comes to making new friends. Yeah, every time I try to approach somebody and, try to talk to them or hang out with them, I kind of find myself not really having, the right words to say. I'm always tripping off over my tongue. I don't really know what to say. And, I just kind of end up embarrassing myself so bad. And it's just so horrible. And I often just find myself running away and just going back home and not really interacting with anybody. Yeah. Ugh. I just don't like, the feeling of embarrassment, Sometimes embarrassment can just be such an overpowering emotion. There's just something that's with being embarrassed. It just makes you want to crawl up into a little bitty ball and just die. Ugh. Yeah. I feel like I'm the type of person who might make somebody upset or, get into somebody's way because I don't know what anybody's thinking. Well, nobody does, but, if I do something and it ends up upsetting the person or making the person, annoyed or, I'm getting into somebody's way, I just feel so bad and sad. And I feel like I just want to burst out crying and stuff like that. Yeah. And that's often another reason why I don't, have any friends or really have trouble making friends because, I just want to be helpful to somebody. I don't want to make a situation worse for somebody than it already is. And, when getting to know somebody, I don't want to say the wrong thing because, sometimes I feel like I might end up saying the wrong thing and then someone gets upset that way. Right. I find people who are able to make friends easily, they're very brave. Well, because, they're not afraid about what people may think of them or if somebody might judge them. I feel like when I was a kid, I was able to, at least make friends a bit easier than being an adult. Because I feel like when we are people as kids, we're not really thinking the worst about somebody or thinking how somebody's gonna perceive us. We just go out to somebody, start talking to them, and if we align with each other or if we have things in common with each other, we get along well and we start playing with each other and just enjoying our time with each other. That's how kids are. Kids are so pure and innocent. They're not really thinking the worst about anybody or thinking that somebody's weird or, thinking that somebody's, obnoxious or annoying. They just want to get to know each other. Right. They're, curious about each other. Kids are very curious. And, when it comes to another person, they're just simply generously curious about that other person. And, it kind of aligns well with them. I think it's so easy for kids to make friends or make friends with each other. Yeah. But, when, you grow up and become a teenager, and then when you become an adult, your ideas about life starts forming into your personal life and your brain and your headspace and your mind. You start to know what you want for yourself. You start to figure out and find out who you are as a person. And if you meet somebody else and who they are as a person doesn't really mesh well with who you are as a person, we as people tend to judge that other person. We as people tend to get, kind of annoyed with that person or disgusted with that person, or, you just simply don't want to be around that person. And that's why a lot of adults kind of find making friends a bit harder, because you often feel like you might want to change yourself or be something else than what you truly are in order to appease to other people or the public, in order to make friends. Yeah. Yeah. I often find myself, somewhat changing myself a lot, my actual personality, to something that might appease other people so I don't come across as, weird or, obnoxious. I wear many different hats in society. Yeah, I wish we as people didn't have to do that, but sometimes we do. Sometimes, even for survival, we do. I wish all of us could, just be ourselves. Do you by chance have any quirks about yourself? Oh, okay. Wow, that's pretty interesting. Something that I do is, if I get super cold, like freezing cold, to a point where it just makes my whole body cold and I'm cold, I oftentimes, out of nowhere, just start shaking like this. It only lasts for 1 second, literally, just 1 second, me shaking like this, and then it just stops. And I've been like that since I've been alive. Yeah, I know that's kind of weird, but it happens. I don't know really where it comes from, but it's just been with me ever since. Yeah. Yep. Now, do you oftentimes feel like you don't really fit in? Yeah, it's understandable. So do I. Yeah, I don't know. I guess, you know, I guess I can call myself a weird person because, I sometimes do things that are, not out of the, well, out of the ordinary. Like, sometimes I like to talk to myself. Yeah, I like to talk to myself, and, sometimes people might catch me in the act. Catch me in the act. Catch me, in, act. Catch me in the act. And they'll say to me, "Who are you talking to?" And I'm just like, well, I'm talking to myself. I mean, I don't really have anybody to talk to, so I'm talking to myself, getting things off my chest, because that's just who I am. I like getting things off my chest. Sometimes I just need to say what I want to say, even if somebody's listening or no one's listening, and it makes me feel better. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes I like to do weird little voices out in the open. Sometimes I might be thinking about a subject or a topic that makes me laugh, and I might do a, weird little voice with it. Like this! I like to do voices like this, you know? Yeah, yeah, just like that. And if somebody, by chance hear me, you know, I'm just like, hey, I'm having fun. And you're staring at me, but I'm having fun. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I'm here minding my own business. You're looking at me, having, talking to myself, having fun. I mean, what do you want me to say to you? You can come join me if you want to. We can have fun together. We can make voices, do little weird voices together. We can talk to ourselves together or amongst each other, you know. But, I guess that's why a lot of people find me weird, because I feel like I don't really fit in with people that I may encounter or talk to, or may know of them, even though I don't know them personally. The people that I know and encounter, they kind of are sophisticated, They have an ordinary life with an ordinary job, ordinary family, ordinary people. They play it safe. They play by the rules of life, and they don't feel the need, or they don't feel comfortable, stepping out of bounds a little bit, and getting a little bit weird, because they feel like it might make them look stupid or silly. And that's why I feel like they might judge other people, because people who are confident enough to go out of the box, they seem or feel like those types of people are, silly or obnoxious or stupid. And it's just like they're thinking probably to themselves, why are you doing that? Well, I mean, I'm doing it because that's just who I am. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I guess you can just say that I'm kind of scared of other people. Yeah, yeah, I know. I know it's not really, I guess, I guess to me, it's not really good to be scared of other people, because we live in a world amongst people, right? But it's just kind of that overall social anxiety that I have. Yeah. Yeah, and one thing else about me is I'm an introvert. Do you know what an introvert is? Yeah, yeah, that's right. Somebody who most of the time enjoys company by themselves, their own company. Even though they might do go out and, be around people, after a certain while, your social battery gets really low. Really, 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 really low. And you have to recharge. And by recharging, I mean go home and recuperate and literally spend some time by yourself. Right, right. Yeah. And introverts, we often find ourselves just wanting to be left alone. Not saying that we hate people, because we don't hate people. But we just mostly want to spend time by ourselves, and we enjoy our time alone. We get things done when we're alone. We feel like we're more productive when we're alone. Yeah, yeah. But I feel like with me, I'm trying to break out of my introverted type state, because I want to meet more people. I want to experience more people. I want to get to know more people, get to know more about their lives and their accomplishments, their achievements, the things that they have experienced, their ups, their downs, they're all around. And, just, experiencing all walks of life. People who have been through all walks of life. It's on my bucket list, actually, to meet more people and to get to know more experiences. Yeah. But, I just don't know where to start. I mean, if I could just meet one person and, really have a conversation with them, it doesn't have to be so detailed or so complex, but just talking to them, almost feeling like I'm right at home, getting to know them, just getting that starting point. And, with that starting point, I might branch out to more people, to then, to get to a point where it feels more comfortably, it feels more coming off the tongue, where I just get to meet people regularly. Yeah. But I mean, who is that one person gonna be? Who is gonna be that one person who I just sit down and just have a conversation with? Oh, that's right. Kind of like how I'm doing with you right now. Yes, yes. Oh my gosh. Does that mean that you're my one person, my first person? Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's right. I am sitting down having a conversation with you. And it's comfortable. I don't feel like I'm getting judged. We have a lot in common. Well, the things that we talked about so far, it seems like we're agreeing on. I feel like we kind of mesh well with each other. We don't feel like we're judging each other. It kind of feels like a right at home conversation, like we've known each other for ages. Yeah. Wow. You know what? Oh my gosh. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's true. Here you are, right along, all along, right in front of me. Well, this was actually pretty nice. This was actually pretty fun. Yeah, I had kind of fun. I mean, it's a start, right? I enjoyed this. Is it by chance maybe we can talk some more later or the next time we meet? Okay, cool. Thank you so much. Thank you for just being here listening to me. I really enjoy this. I actually have to go because I realized that while I was talking to you, I'm actually late for something. Yeah, that's another thing that I'm gonna have to learn about: time management. Yeah, well, let me get going. Hopefully I'll see you later, okay? Okay then. Oh, and something that I often say to a lot of people before I leave them is that I hope that peace and blessings and gifts from God remains in your life, and that positivity remains in your life as well. Yep, that's right. That's right. Okay, let me get going because I kind of am late and now I'm getting super, super late. Yep, that's right. Okay, I'll see you soon, okay? Bye, bye-bye. Oh my gosh, I'm late. Let me get up and hurry up. Oh, goodness.